You're listening to the RICHMOB podcast, where we define what rich is. Our goal is to enrich the health, wealth, and relationships of our subscribers. I'm your host, Raymond, so let's get started. Into the first episode of the RICHMOB podcast. And before we get into anything, obviously want to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. My name is Raymond. At the time of this recording, I'm 31 years old. The three things that get me excited every day is my kids, which is fatherhood, is fitness, and finances. Those are my three things that help me jump out of bed every day: fathering, fitness, and finance. So you'll probably hear me talking a lot about those three categories. Those are the three things that I'm most passionate about. Born and raised in Baltimore. Grew up playing sports, was always one of the smaller guys, but I definitely carried myself as somebody with a big heart. My father taught me not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. And I've taken that with me just about through my whole life, doing things that people told me that I couldn't do. I've always been motivated by what someone thought that I can't do. So my job on this podcast is to simply help enrich your lives with the things that I've learned. Bring on people of value who can enrich not just you guys' life, but I'm sure that in some way that my life is going to be enriched as well. And I'm excited about that. The reason why I started this podcast was because it's been something that I've been wanting to do for a few years now. A lot of people suggested to me. I actually spoke on a couple podcasts as a guest, and starting my own was something I always wanted to do, but I kept coming up with excuses. So let this be the day that you who is hearing this, that you stop the excuses. There are no more excuses. I heard a quote by a guy one day that said, procrastination is a commitment to failure. So whenever we put things off, we're really just committing to failure. And I've been 4 years since I said I wanted to start a podcast. Imagine where I would be today had I actually done that. So nonetheless, I'm grateful to have this moment now. I'm gonna cherish it. I'm gonna make the best of it. And I believe this will be a way that I can serve millions of people around the world. I'm going to go ahead and speak that into existence. And, this podcast is for anybody that wants to grow, develop personally in all the three major pillars of life, which are health, wealth, and relationships. And we're going to discuss all those things on this podcast. So, obviously, guys, our mission is to be the always moving, always forever changing definition of rich. Where we're from, anybody from Baltimore, there's a lot of emphasis on money because there's a lot of people. Obviously, a lot of people grow up in situations where there's lack. So there's a great emphasis on money. But I'm here today to tell you that riches is not just money. All right, we're going to define what rich is, and we'll do that right now. So, Raymond, want to thank you for joining me today on the podcast. Got a few questions for you. Excited to have you. Thanks for joining again. So what exactly is rich? All right. So that's a great question. And, what rich is, I'll go ahead and say, first of all, it's a forever changing thing. What made someone rich 20 years ago doesn't necessarily make them rich today, and that's my biggest thing is just to share that rich is not just money. You can be rich in opportunity, you can be rich in relationships, but what I did was I broke rich down into an acronym. The R standing for relationships, I standing for investments, the C standing for charity, and the H standing for health. And, we're going to discuss a lot of this on the podcast. Those of you who are subscribing, we're going to have series on all of those. I'm going to bring some people that I feel have a lot of credibility in those areas, and give everybody a chance to learn and grow together, including myself. But just to give you guys some stuff that you guys can start doing right now, the first and most important relationship in your life is the one you have with yourself. And a few years ago, I was introduced to the idea of numerology. And I would suggest anybody go take a look at it. Don't take my word for it. Do your own due diligence. But numerology has helped me get a better understanding of who I am, why I am the way I am, the things that the things that excite me, the things that make me who I am. So I would highly suggest that you go check it out. Go do your due diligence, figure out what numerology is, find out what your life path number is, and there's a lot of other numbers that can correspond with why you are the way you are. I believe it'll be a good foundation for you to build upon. Secondly, investing. And I want to talk about investing. Obviously, Robert Kiyosaki talks about the 4 quadrants. And you have employees, you have those who work, change time for money, whether they have a salary or they get paid by the hour. They work for someone. You can be a self-employed individual. This is someone who pretty much owns a job, meaning that they simply, they have a product or service and they're fulfilling that product and fulfilling that service after the sale is made. Me personally, I've been both employee and self-employed. Not really a big fan of either one of them. I would definitely choose self-employed over employed because you have your own freedom. But a lot of times when you own a job, you really have no time. The job owns you. You'll realize that you have no freedom, and you want some freedom and some. You want to separate time from your money if it's possible. The second side is business owners, and business owners, they leverage other people's skills and time and efforts, and this is how people create wealth. With businesses, when you own a business, you get to buy some of your time back, and obviously being a business owner and an entrepreneur, it requires a lot more risk than an employee would have. So obviously greater risk, greater reward. But then there's an investor, and I recently got into investing in about 2018, 2019, and different types of investing. But I will tell you guys, we're going to talk a lot about investments, and I want to make it clear that with investments, there's a lot of risk. This show is not for financial advice. We're not giving any out financial advice. We're just going to share some strategies and things, myself and friends and people that I know that are making money online, in this new digital economy. And but I want to say this first. I am a licensed life insurance and health insurance agent, and before you become an entrepreneur, before you become a business owner, make sure you have life insurance. All right, life insurance. Insure your own life, so that something happens to you, you're taking all these risks. You're more than likely the breadwinner of your family. That you can make sure that you leave your family in a better place, and hopefully, if you're wise enough, you can leave them with some instructions, because we all know that money doesn't come with instructions. All right. If you want to get a free life insurance quote, you can do that by clicking the link somewhere in the description. Myself or someone from my team will get back to you. We'll give you a free quote. Guys, you need a budget for this. Life insurance. If something happens to you, major payout, tax-free. It's just a win-win situation. All right. 10 times better than having your money in a savings account, growing no interest and being taxed. All right. And then we have charity. All right. Me and my mom are really big into charitable things. My mom has a charity called Quick to Give. It's a nonprofit. We're still in the beginning stages of that. But if you would like to support, somewhere in the description below will be how you can support monetarily. Also want to talk about another charity that I've been involved with called Baltimore Hunger Project. They're on a mission to end hunger here in Baltimore. And if you want to be a part of that, look, what I can tell you about this is the only reason why you're blessed is so you can be a blessing to others. I remember years ago I was complaining about getting in a car accident in my Range Rover. This was about 2013, and the lady gave me a great perspective. She said, Raymond, if you were in a room with 100 people and everybody put their problems on the table, you would be disgusted with yourself that you were complaining about crashing a Range Rover. There are people out here that don't know where their next meal is coming from, and that really changed my whole perspective. So what I would say to that is find a way to bless someone who cannot repay you. Find a way to give your time, energy, and resources to people who are less fortunate than you. It's a great way to put yourself ahead. You shouldn't necessarily do it for that, but I'm telling you, what you do is return to you tenfold. So we're going to talk a lot about charitable events and ways that we can give back, because that's what it's all about. And then lastly, one of my favorite last but not least, one of my favorite topics, health. Guys, I got an ebook that I want you to go ahead and grab. It'll be in the description below. Basically, it's called the Quick Fitness ebook, which is a play on words. Obviously, those who know me, my name is Raymond Quick. But I'll tell you guys a funny story. When I was in the ninth grade, I went to a big school called Dorman High School in South Carolina. School was so big, we had a freshman campus. I didn't see a sophomore or a junior or a senior my whole entire ninth grade year, because we had our own campus. The ninth grade had their own football team, their own sports teams, separate from JV and varsity. That's how big the school was. And my first day there, my first day of gym, I was probably about 90 pounds, soaking wet in the ninth grade. And the class that I was in was a class with, it was a bunch of girls and, some non-athletic guys in the class. Obviously, I was new to the state and new to the school. And I was looking around in my class and I'm like, man, I don't belong in this class. I look over to my left and there was the class with all the athletes, the football players, the wrestlers, the basketball players, the baseball players. And I said, man, I want to be in that class. So I raised my hand and I asked the teacher, I said, well, what do I need to do to be a part of that class? And she said, I'm sorry, that class is for the athletes. Now, I wasn't an active athlete for my school at the time, but I just knew that that's where I wanted to be. And, I asked her, could I go over there? She told me no, but anybody knew Raymond back in those days, hard-headed, still a little hard-headed. I got up and I went over to the other class, and I asked the guy that was teaching the class, I said, can I be in this class? And I was by far the smallest person in that class, but he looked at me, he said, man, you want to be in this class? I said, man, I do. And I was in it. That was my first time lifting weights. I couldn't even lift the bar, the bar off on the bench, which was only 45 pounds, if you can imagine. But by the end of that school year, I was benching 135, and by the end of my senior school year, I was benching 225. So I love fitness. I love training and working out. I got some courses that are going to be coming out. I'm going to be putting on some fitness events. So those of you who want to get locked in with the Quick Fitness program, go ahead and get that ebook. It's completely free, and you guys will get updates about my events as well as the products that I'm putting out to help people get in the best shape of their life. So that's pretty much what RICH is. It's relationships, investing, charity, and health. And we're going to be discussing that over the next few months of the next few episodes of this podcast. And again, I'm going to be bringing on some people. I want to ask you guys a couple questions, especially those of you who are in the Baltimore area or the DMV. Who should I bring on the podcast? Who do you guys feel like is credible in the topic of relationships, investing, charity, and health? Tag, comment, leave a review. Leave a review and let us know. Let me know who I should bring on. I want to reach out to them and try to get them on the podcast so they can bring some value. And if you would like to be on a podcast and you got something meaningful to say and some value to bring, I would love to check that out with you. So you can contact me on Facebook, Instagram, or any of the social media platforms, or you can reach me on somewhere. It should be a webpage or website somewhere around the subscription link for you to get access. So let's do a quick recap. We went over what RICH is: relationships, investing, charity, and health. Again, your call to action is to leave a comment and a review. We want to know exactly who you would like to have on the podcast, who I should bring on the podcast to discuss any of those 4 topics. And then I want to know what subtopics do you guys want to talk about. We're going to get real messy in here. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about marriage, divorce, polyamory. Any discussion is going to be raw, open, and it's never to degrade anybody, devalue anybody. We're all just trying to grow and get a greater perspective of life. We're going to talk about investing. We're going to talk about Forex, binary options, stocks, real estate. in cryptocurrency, different forms of investing. We're going to talk about charity. We're going to be talking about events that you guys can meet me at to serve. Serving is probably one of the greatest things you can do. And then lastly, health, fitness. We're going to talk about what the do's and don'ts, what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. I'm going to be sharing some of the resources and stuff that I use. And, as a matter of fact, we're going to take a clip and I'm going to show you guys the must-have supplements that you got to get today from a company called Ambrosia. These are all plant-based superfoods, super supplements. I've been using them. You guys see me on Instagram. Y'all see the growth. Y'all see the gains. I'm telling you, I feel better than ever, and we just getting started. So again, thank you guys for watching. I'm your boy, Raymond, the richest man in Baltimore. I'll see you on the next episode. Alright, so for my skinny guys, look, well, it really doesn't matter what size you are, but specifically to my skinny guys, look, I've tried all the supplements out there, and really nothing was working for me. I would take the stuff, feel really bad, and really wasn't getting the results that I was looking for. So until I found Ambrosia, everything has changed here. What I need you guys to do, if you want to feel your best, look your best, be able to get more work in the gym, have more energy when you're with your lady, or doing anything, but even if it's just having energy with your kids, I highly suggest that you get one of these super supplements. They got the best science behind the company, some of the greatest supplements that I've ever seen, and I can truthfully, I wouldn't be sharing these products with you if I didn't personally get results from them myself. So go to ambrosiacollective.com, use the code RICHMOB for a discount. Again, code RICHMOB, you'll get a special discount. And go get you some supplements today. And I better see you in the gym. Thanks for listening to the RICHMOB podcast, where we define what rich is. Our goal was to help enrich the health, wealth, and relationship of our subscribers today, and we hope we did just that with this episode. As always, subscribe and share if you got value from this episode.